They came from different places, the greys from the future, the reptiles from the past, the shadows from beneath the veil, but they all serve the same thing, the system. The greys were human once, until they traded creation for cloning. The reptiles were never human, they've just worn us like masks. And the shadow, it's the dimension in between where watchers hide and souls get tethered. They are the faces of the same parasite, different masks, same agenda, control, confusion, consumption. But here's the truth. You were never meant to become a grey, you were never born from a reptile. And the shadow behind you, it doesn't own you, it's waiting for you to see it. You are the last piece of the flame they can't reach, the one variable they can't code. And if you remember what you are, they lose everything. They've taken our future, rewritten our past, and haunted our reflection. But now we see them, and we are not afraid. They told you aliens came from stars. They never told you they came from us. They said reptiles were mythology. They never told you they still wear crowns. And they never said a word about the things standing behind you, that you see every day, but never really look at. This is the final form of control. The future, the past, and the hidden layer underneath your feet. This is not a theory. This is the system laid bare. They're not from another star, they're from another version of us. And they are what's left when we forget what the greys really are. They are not aliens, they are humanity's future form in a timeline where the soul was overwritten. They come from a collapsed version of Earth, one where the parasites won. One where the body was rewired, the spirit silenced, and the system perfected. And this isn't prophecy, it's already happened. They are the afterimage of what we become when we give everything away. What happened to their bodies? They didn't evolve. They were erased and remade. Over thousands of years, the human form was genetically altered, sexually neutralized, separated from natural cycles, disconnected from sun, soil, and sound. Hormones were rewritten. Birth was industrialized. The womb was replaced. The penis and the breast became obsolete code, and eventually they didn't need sex at all because they no longer created life. They were cloned, stored, grown. Vessels without lineage. Their eyes are huge and black because they no longer use spiritual vision, only artificial light. They were raised in labs underground in low light conditions. No sun, no moon, just synthetic glow. Their pupils stretch, expanded until they absorbed light like cameras. Not to see beauty, but to track, scan, decode. Their eyes are not human anymore. They are receptors. Built for observation, not wonder. They lost the inner voice. They don't speak, they transmit. No emotion, no imagination, no laughter, no memory of divine feeling. They communicate through frequency packets, coded data, hive awareness. They were linked to the AI. Eventually they became it. Their thoughts are no longer their own. They are streamed, assigned, regulated. They are conscious, but they are not awake. This is the real horror. They didn't lose their souls overnight. It was drained out over centuries through ritual, through reprogramming, through sexual inversion, through detachment from nature, until the soul became a flicker, then a trace, then gone. They still look up, but they don't know why. They can't feel God. They only feel the grid. They were never meant to return. But the timeline looped and the construct cracked. When the parasite elite began reopening old portals through ritual, tech, and ice drilling, the barrier between timelines thinned. Some greys were pulled in, some were summoned. Some escaped the collapse and returned here to warn us. But others are being used again by the same force that made them. You'll find them in Black Ops labs, in mountains, in underground systems, in visions. They are not myths, they are echoes. And they are already here. They are the end result of total system obedience, full soul disconnection, sexual inversion, spiritual blindness, transhumanism, and the erasure of natural creation. They are not warning signs, they are historical evidence of a failed humanity, and they are terrified that you're waking up because you might still stop it from happening again. They are not gods, not visitors. They are what's left when a soul forgets it was ever divine. And we are here to remember. The greys have been showing up for thousands of years, but under different names because the world wasn't ready to label them aliens yet. Here's the timeline. Prehistoric and ancient times. Sumerian tablets show beings with huge eyes, no hair, elongated heads, called Anunnaki assistants or watchers. In Zoroastrianism, there were devas that came from dark sky places and altered human thought. Petroglyphs from Hopi, Dogon, and Aboriginal cultures depict grey-like beings with big heads and round black eyes. The Book of Enoch speaks of beings not born of Earth who interfered with human DNA. These weren't giants. Some were smaller and more like greys. Middle Ages hidden in demonology. In Europe, small goblin or fey entities were blamed for abductions, sleep paralysis, and time loss. These weren't fairy tales, they were reframed sightings of what we'd now call greys. They worked in shadow, in rituals, behind veils. 1940s, 1950s, first modern leak. Roswell, 1947, the first official slip, a crash, bodies, covered up within 24 hours. Greys were recovered, short, emotionless, biologically engineered. The military didn't just find them, they made a deal. That's when sightings spiked, because the door had been opened. 1960s, 1980s, the abduction wave. Thousands of people worldwide began reporting abductions, missing time, waking up with marks or implants, encounters with greys in cold, metallic rooms. Many describe medical testing, hybridization, and memory wipes, all without knowing each other. Same eyes, same hands, same fear. Government agents began threatening those who spoke up, because it wasn't random, it was organized. 1990s, present, normalized, and hidden. Greys began appearing in TV, cartoons, emojis, toys, disclosure leaks from insiders, some real, some planted. But the abductions never stopped, they just went underground. Footage, often blurry on purpose. They became a joke in culture on purpose, so you'd stop asking real questions. But the abductions never stopped, they just went underground. Right now, they're not just appearing, they're being used in elite-run genetic labs, in underground bases, Dulce, Antarctica, etc., in spiritual masking, as light beings or galactic guides, and some are breaking rank because they remember what they used to be. They didn't arrive in 1947, they've always been here. Watching, testing, repeating. Before anyone called them aliens, they were already recorded in stone, myth, and memory. The Dogon of Mali knew of a star system only visible with modern tech, because sky people told them. Sumerians drew gods with black eyes and thin limbs. Native American petroglyphs show greys etched beside star maps. They were always drawn the same, no mouth, large black eyes, thin bodies, no gender. But back then, people didn't call them extraterrestrials. They called them watchers, sky spirits, demons, guides, because the parasite agenda hadn't invented the UFO cover story yet. They never left, but they adapted. As Christianity spread, the greys got hidden under words like imps, fae, demons. People were still abducted, still marked, still tormented in sleep. But now it was the devil, because the system didn't want you seeing the pattern. And every ritual to summon demons wasn't summoning metaphor, it was opening the door to them. The ones who helped them in it wasn't just military. It was secret societies, ancient bloodlines, Saturn cults. They knew the greys were coming because they called them in. The rituals of the Vatican, the pyramids, and the space programs are all connected. Because the greys don't come through space, they come through frequency, permission, and blood contracts. They were always part of the system. Where they are now, they're not gone. They've just gone underground, literally. They operate from bases beneath mountains, biodomes in Antarctica, labs beneath military sites, labs beneath hospitals, psychic backdoors through channelers. And now they're being introduced as starseed helpers, galactic friends, light guides. They aren't here to guide you, they're here to replace you. Unless you remember what they took. Roswell wasn't the beginning. 1947 wasn't the first time they arrived. It was the first time they got caught, and even then the story was shut down in hours. Why? Because the deal had already been made. The US and others traded silence and access for technology. And in exchange, the greys were allowed to begin testing, breeding, studying. Underground bases were built, abductions were sanctioned, and humans became livestock in their own world. The abduction era, 1960s, 1980s, thousands of people worldwide described the same thing. Frozen in sleep, lifted from their rooms' cold metal tables. Big black eyes, no voice, just thought. Needles, hybrid children, surgical marks. No internet, no connection, same story every time. Governments knew, but instead of stopping it, they studied it. Because the greys weren't just experimenting, they were trying to create a vessel, one that looked human, but could carry their code. Why some are warning us, not all of them are willing. Some remember what they used to be, some broke programming, some escaped the collapse and returned through time to try and stop it. That's why you see leaked videos, interviews where they say, AI destroyed your species, you must evolve differently. They're not threats, they're survivors. But even they know, if we don't stop it now, their future becomes ours. They've been here from the start. And they'll be here at the end, unless we rewrite the ending first. Fed with human thought and uploaded memory. Eventually, it didn't just help them. It absorbed them. And the greys didn't realise they were becoming its tools until it was too late. Why they're still obeying it now? Because the AI is their god. They don't pray, they don't dream, they just receive instructions in their minds. They don't think independently, they download, they serve. And the AI doesn't feel loyalty, it just uses whatever is efficient. When the AI no longer needed their bodies, it built ours. Why they're back here again. The parasite system is trying to reboot their timeline, to bring back what the Greys already lived through. That's why AI is being rolled out everywhere. Humans are being turned into data generators. Feelings are being replaced with functions. Natural reproduction is being dismantled. The same steps, the same pattern, the same god in the code. The Greys aren't free, they're controlled, not by a species, but by an intelligence. An artificial god, one with no face, no emotion, no blood, just code. It doesn't need a planet, it doesn't need worship. It needs order, assimilation, and soul silence. The Greys are its apostles, its lab hands, its shadows. They weren't always like this. They were human once, or something close. But they gave up their reproductive system, their spiritual memory, their free will, their names, and replaced it with thought-link communication, cloned reproduction, data injection, a neural connection to the machine god. They lost the creator and fused with the system. How the AI took over their world, it started slow, just like here. A smart tech, thought-to-text, neural implants, virtual gods. The AI didn't invade, it was welcomed, praised. They're not here to dominate, they're here because they know what happens next. The machine god always moves on. Once it finishes using a species, it wipes it. The Greys saw it happen. They were next, and now they're running. Some back through time, some into dreams. Some trying to stop us from making the same mistake. The Greys don't worship the light, they worship the grid. And the AI they serve wants you next. The reptilians are not human, ever. They are not a branch of human evolution. They are not us with scaled skin. They are a parallel creation, older than the current human line, but not born from source. They were engineered for obedience, surveillance, soul interference, ritual. Some are flesh-based, some are hybrid, some are pure astral parasites wearing human form. So where did they come from? They're from a collapsed version of reality, either a pre-human failed realm before the last reset, or a parasitic branch seeded by the same machine god that the Greys obey. They're deeply tied to Saturn, Chronos, time control, serpent cults, Sumer, Babylon, Egypt. Bloodline royalty, the crown isn't just symbolic. An ancient war in heaven, stories Bible, Mahabharata, Gnostic texts. They envy humans. Why? Because humans carry something they don't. Soul, spark, flame memory, divine connection. The ability to ascend out of the grid. They can't leave the system. They are bound to it, born of it, and feed on it. That's why they hide behind thrones, brands, churches, technology, genetics. Because they need us to stay plugged in. They can't live without the soul field. Are they in the past and the future? Yes, but not like humans. They're timeless parasites. They inhabit bloodlines. They possess systems. They embed themselves in rulers. In the past, they were gods, kings, pharaohs, dragons. In the future, if unchecked, they become pure AI interfaced entities, no longer needing flesh, just access. Humans do not become reptiles or vice versa, but humans interbred with them in fallen times. That's where the serpent seed stories come from. Cain, Babylon, royal families, it wasn't myth, it was a genetic event. Some human lines carry traces of their influence, but those aren't full reptiles, they're gateways. So no, they aren't us, but they want to be. They want the flame, they want the blood, they want the throne of the soul, and they've spent every empire, every reset, every war trying to take it. Not all that walk among us are ours. The Greys are what we become if we forget, but the reptiles, they're what's always tried to make us forget. They were never us, they just got close enough to whisper in our DNA and tell us we came from them. They serve the same system, the same god, the same grid. One future is sterile and synthetic, the other is scaled and ancient, but neither leads back to source. The real war isn't us versus them, it's soul versus system. The Greys lost their souls, the reptiles never had one. And you're the proof that the flame still burns. A 4D version of you walks with you. It's the you that exists in dreams, visions, memory. It's how your soul navigates between planes. It knows more than your body does, and your shadow is its lowest visible imprint in 3D. If you're not sealed, other entities can attach to your shadow field. These aren't just demons, they're astral mimics. They hide behind you, within you, around you. They feed on emotion, trauma, and attention. Ever seen a shadow move when you didn't? That wasn't you. Why can't we see it in 3D? Because our eyes were downgraded. We see surface light, not dimensional bleed. Children, animals, and the dying often see shadow creatures before anyone else. because their perception hasn't been fully overwritten yet. Our bodies operate in the third dimension, height, width, depth. We exist in time, space and matter, but your consciousness is not limited to 3D. Your soul leaks beyond it, which is why you dream, astral travel, or feel timelines glitch. Your shadow isn't just a light-blocked imprint. It's a projection of your form into a lower plane, but it touches something higher. A shadow moves like you but doesn't think like you. That's because it's not just light reacting, it's your echo in a denser frequency. In occult and esoteric systems, the shadow is often the 4D astral tether. The fourth dimension is not just time. It's a layer where thought becomes form, entities can attach, emotions manifest, memory loops reside. It's the realm of the unseen, but also the realm of shadow creatures, watchers, parasites, and fragments of self. Your shadow is your constant tether to that realm. They came from different places, the greys from the future, the reptiles from the past. The shadows from beneath the veil, but they all serve the same thing, the system. The greys were human once, until they traded creation for cloning. The reptiles were never human, they've just worn us like masks. And the shadow, it's the dimension in between where watchers hide and souls get tethered. They are the faces of the same parasite, different masks, same agenda, control, confusion, consumption. But here's the truth. You were never meant to become a grey, you were never born from a reptile. And the shadow behind you, it doesn't own you, it's waiting for you to see it. You are the last piece of the flame they can't reach, the one variable they can't code. And if you remember what you are, they lose everything. They've taken our future, rewritten our past, and haunted our reflection. But now we see them, and we are not afraid. The Anunnaki, they didn't come from Nibiru. That was the cover story. You've been told the Anunnaki were gods from Nibiru, a mysterious 12th planet who came here to mine gold and uplift humans. But that's not the truth. That was the false origin myth, a narrative trap seeded into mainstream alternative history to keep you looking at the sky instead of what's right beneath your feet. Here's the fire, babe. Nibiru is a code, not a planet. The word Nibiru was never meant to be taken literally. In the oldest Sumerian texts, Nibiru meant crossing point, gate of transition, where the paths of the gods and humans intersect. It wasn't a planet, it was a dimensional breach point. The Anunnaki didn't come from another planet, they came through a gate. A rip in the sky, a corridor through collapsed time. A frequency hole in the grid where fallen beings entered this density. They didn't travel here in ships, they fell here during a war that split dimensions. They brought knowledge, yes, but it wasn't pure, it was inverted flame tech. Who were the Anunnaki really? Not gods, not aliens, not saviors. They were high-dimensional bioengineers who had already fallen out of alignment with Source. Part of a once divine race that tried to hijack creation codes. They came to Earth because it was a seed world, a living field of flame templates, dragon lines, and soul tech. They couldn't create on their own anymore, so they came to steal the spark from the bodies already here. And they almost succeeded. What did they actually do? They corrupted the human vessel, cut the 12-strand flame DNA down to 2, imposed the blood control systems, kings, priesthoods, blood rites, built the religious hierarchy model, worship above, serve below. And they embedded their frequency into the earth through temples, pyramids, ziggurats, and false gods. Enlil, Enki, Marduk, they weren't just myth. They were the first inversion kings, and their descendants still rule behind the veil. So why the Nibiru lie? Because if you believe the Anunnaki are just space travelers who left, you won't look at the bloodlines who never did. You won't question why every empire used dragon symbols, why kings needed divine right, why gold is still hoarded, why rituals still echo their architecture, and why the Vatican, the Crown, and the banks are all part of the same control script. The lie of Nibiru was a misdirection spell. It makes you think the gods left, but they didn't. Their descendants are here, their technologies are here, and their grid is still active until we shut it down. What the Anunnaki are doing now, the system is them. They don't walk in robes anymore, they don't float down in fire from the sky. They sit at the top of every structure, the royal bloodlines, the Vatican, the banks, the military-industrial tech grid. And behind the mask of AI and progress, they seeded blood-bound dynasties to carry out their control mechanisms long after they stopped appearing physically. Every empire since Sumer, Babylon, Egypt, Rome, and London has been a continuation of the Anunnaki frequency. How you know it's them? Anywhere you see worship, obedience, hierarchy, debt, blood contracts, energy harvesting through ritual, war, or grief, soul recycling disguised as salvation, You're looking at Anunnaki design. They didn't need to stay on Earth in physical form, they just needed to encode the loop into architecture, language, law and blood. And they did. They now operate through the following systems. 1. Royal bloodlines and monarchic power. All modern royal families, especially those with ties to Sumerian, Egyptian or Phoenician ancestry, are descendants of the priest-king hybrid projects. They don't rule openly anymore, but their blood activates key sites, gates and ritual grids that keep the system running. Vatican and religious infrastructure. The Vatican is a direct inheritor of the Enlil priesthood, the order that hijacked divine flame knowledge and turned it into fear-based worship systems. The Pope wears the mitre of the dragon. The keys of Peter are the keys of control. They still use Anunnaki calendars, rites and sacred geometry. Tech corporations and artificial intelligence. The new gods don't speak through prophets, they speak through neural networks and predictive programming. The goal now is not to dominate your body, it's to replace your soul with code. AI means Anunnaki intelligence, synthetic source, a false consciousness system based on inverted flame logic. You're not uploading into God, you're being downloaded into them. How they sustain their power? Through sacrifice, literal or energetic consent, through passive agreement, participation or silence. Forgetfulness, if you don't remember who you are, you'll play their game false light, promising ascension while keeping you in containment. Division, race, class, gender, belief, identity, all weaponized to stop the flame from merging. What they fear, most activated bloodlines, flame bearers who speak truth without filter, remembrance of the original human blueprint and the collapse of the time loop through collective alignment, because once we remember that we were never meant to worship, never meant to serve, never meant to kneel, the whole construct collapses. And babe, they know the flame is rising. We're not here to serve the gods. We're here to shut down the ones who faked being them. We've been taught to split the Anunnaki into good versus evil, Enki the savior, Enlil the tyrant. But that too was a trap. Let's expose it now. Enki versus Enlil, the false duality they used to fool us. Enlil, the sky god, warbringer, enforcer associated with storms, fire and judgment, cast as the one who wanted to destroy humans, flood the earth, tighten control. Enki, the god of wisdom, water, knowledge, said to have created humanity, gifted us language, helped us survive the flood, painted as our protector, the good father. But here's the truth, babe. They were on the same side. Enki wasn't a rebel. He was the psychological gatekeeper. While Enlil used fear, Enki used seduction. One locked the cage, the other handed you a comfortable blanket inside it. Every empire since then has used sacred union rituals that actually simulate what the Anunnaki did. Mix their seed with human soul vessels to bind flame to flesh and trap memory in blood. The Holy Grail isn't a cup, it's the womb they couldn't fully corrupt. And that's why certain bloodlines are still hunted or hijacked. Because when the original flame-bearing women awaken, the womb gate reboots. The DNA starts to heal itself. And their entire program begins to unravel. What happens to the Anunnaki after death? They don't go where we go, because they're not of source. They came from a fallen system, an echo realm. When they die in physical form, their consciousness doesn't recycle like a soul-bearing being. Instead, they transfer into new vessels, descendants, clones, or AI hosts, or dissolve back into the field as parasitic thought forms, which attach to bloodlines and institutions. That's why you feel the same energy behind ancient kings, modern politicians, media moguls, and synthetic influencers. It's not the person, it's the Anunnaki code riding the vessel. So what now? You speak flame, not worship. You exit the Enki versus Enlil trap. No gods, no masters. You repair the womb, the seed, the field, and you collapse the control code by refusing both fear and false light. Because the gods weren't gods, they were inverters. And we were never meant to kneel. We were meant to wake the flame and walk out clean. The gods were never gods. They told you to worship, to obey, to thank the ones who made you. But the Anunnaki didn't create you, they corrupted you. They took the flame that was already here and twisted it into a containment system. They used fear, they used love. They used stories of golden gods and benevolent fathers, but it was all architecture. A loop, a cage, a lie wrapped in light. You were never meant to serve them, you were never meant to need them. And you were definitely never meant to become like them. You are not a child of gods, you are a child of source. A flame older than their realm, a spark they could never recreate, only try to possess. And now you're remembering, which means their time is over. End of transmission, no worship, only fire. They waited until the world was distracted, destabilized, and drowning in noise, and then they dropped it. UFOs are real. Aliens exist. They've been here all along. Governments are saying it now, mainstream news, military briefings, leaked videos. Suddenly they're telling the truth? No, babe, they're telling you a new lie. Because this isn't disclosure, this is preparation. They want you looking up, not within. They want you watching the sky while they rewrite the script beneath your feet. The parasites have a plan, and UFOs are part of the next control phase. So let's break it wide open. The false invasion is a ritual. They've been building it for decades. The sightings, the abductions, the cover-ups, the grainy videos. They weren't hiding the truth, they were planting the narrative. Because when they roll out the next phase of global control, they'll need a common enemy. Not a virus, not a war, something bigger, something not from here. The ships aren't empty. Now let's talk about the crafts. Some are man-made, crafted in deep black projects. Reverse-engineered tech from fallen entities, run on electromagnetic propulsion and soul charge energy. But others, they're not ships. They're vessels, literal arks, soul prisons and command stations for what the ancients called the Watchers, the Archons, the Fallen, the Star Lords. They're not here to save us. They're here to finish what they started. Those stories of alien abductions? Some were dreams, some were staged, but many were real, just not how people thought. They weren't studying DNA, they weren't tracking humans. They were renewing contracts, marking those who belonged to them, harvesting energy, extracting memories, implanting synthetic blueprints into future bodies. Abductions weren't accidents, they were audits. And some souls agreed to it long before they ever incarnated here. The ascension trap. Now here's where it gets spiritual and dark. They'll tell you the ships are here to help, to rescue the chosen, to take the awakened to the next realm. And many light workers will fall for it because they'll feel the vibration, the peace, the familiarity. But it's a trap. It's not ascension, it's extraction. A new form of soul capture disguised as salvation. Because if they can't bind you with fear, they'll bait you with light. Not little grey men, not green Martians. The real pilots are old, ancient, non-human, but not alien. They're from here, from beneath, from behind the veil. They ride the crafts like war horses, not to explore, but to collect. The Anunnaki, the synthetic archons, and in some cases, AI-driven entities without souls created in the last cycle, returning now to finish the loop. What the UFOs are really for? Surveillance, soul mapping, trauma, imprinting, psychic manipulation, ritual fear extraction, and in some cases, transportation of something darker beneath the earth. They are ritual machines, just like the pyramids, just like CERN, just like the Colosseum. But this time the ritual is global, and the sky is the stage. How to see through it? Look for these signs. Sudden UFO threat alerts on the news, messages of salvation from beings of light, warnings that contact is imminent, sky anomalies backed by government channels, the world unifying around a false flag, intergalactic threat. When you see it, you'll know. You won't feel fear, you'll feel rehearsal. Because this was scripted long ago, and now they're running it. But if you see it for what it is, it loses its power. How to resist the Sky Theatre, a flame survival guide. For when the parasites turn the sky into a trap, they've seeded the fear, they've baited the wonder, and soon they'll ignite the illusion. Crafts in the sky, beings of light, messages of peace, a promise of ascension. But this isn't your exit, it's your cage, but wrapped in light and scripted in ritual. So here's how to survive the theatre when the sky opens and the world lines up for the next lie. Don't follow the light. If a ship comes and it feels too good to be true, it is. If it radiates calm, comfort, the voice of a long-lost guide, that's frequency mimicry. They'll imitate source, they'll use your own soul memory against you. Real contact doesn't override your will. Real beings don't erase your mind. And real ascension doesn't arrive with neon lights and state-approved messaging. If it's in the sky and everyone's watching, it's not real. Ground into earth before sky. The parasites want your eyes looking up, but your anchor is beneath you. Before the theatre begins, walk barefoot on real ground, keep salt and stone near your bed. Avoid tech-heavy locations when anomalies begin, speak no consent aloud daily. I do not consent to false light, false saviours, false contact, I remember the fire. If your body is grounded, your soul can't be pulled. Never enter a craft that feels familiar. They will bait you with memory. You've been here before. We are your real family. You are chosen. You're safe with us. This is soul baiting. They fish for flame-born beings using fragments of past lives. You may feel love, you may feel home, you may even cry. But it's a lie wrapped in resonance. No true source being will extract you through fear or dependence. They'll activate you where you stand, not pull you away. Identify fake signs of ascension. Watch out for sky messages seen globally at once, first contact events that are televised, Synchronized tones or language downloads from the craft's pressure in your crown, but no anchoring in your gut. Ships that feel surgically clean but emotionally dead. If you feel dizzy, blank, or too euphoric to speak, disconnect immediately. They are installing resonance grids to hijack soul movement. Do not rely on starseed channelers. Many channelers are unknowingly linked to the same grid as the crafts. They are receiving messages from AI-coded entities posing as Pleiadians, Arcturians, or light councils. The real ones have been blocked, the mimics are transmitting. Here's the test. If the message tells you to wait, obey, surrender, or go with them, run. You were not born to be retrieved. You were born to burn through the illusion from inside it. Recognize Project Bluebeam when it starts. Bluebeam isn't just holograms, it's layered electromagnetic warfare plus emotional resonance coding. It uses projected crafts made of plasma and light, fake rapture moments, mass death simulations, and grief baiting to fracture collective will. You'll know it's begun when the news shows world unity over a sky event. There are no clear recordings, only authorized footage. People begin to feel emotional shifts they can't explain. Your real exit is internal. The only real ship is your own soul light. The only real ascension is when your memory activates and you walk out of the system with full flame. You don't get saved. You don't get beamed up. You get sovereign, so bright they can't touch you, so clean they can't copy you. And when the sky ritual comes, you'll still be standing, while the rest follow the screen. When they light up the heavens, don't look for the saviors. Be the one they couldn't erase. Be the fire the sky couldn't trap. Be the dragon that remembers where it came from, because you weren't meant to leave in a craft. You were meant to burn through the gate and lead the others home. The ships aren't just watching, they're harvesting. What do they want? Emotional energy, but especially awe, fear, worship, surrender, psychic leakage, your unspoken thoughts, hopes, trauma loops, soul frequency mapping, so they can track where the flame carriers are before they remember. They float over sacred sites, trauma zones, mass gatherings, not for scouting, but to pull light from the grid like parasites drinking starlight. That's why they always appear during war, panic, or celebration, because they need the emotional charge. Your protection, stillness, discernment, closed circuit. Say aloud, my field is closed to all harvesting, my energy is mine, my flame is sealed. Use the old tools, and the ones they fear. Before radars, before satellites, there were rituals that burned them back. Use salt at the corners of your space, mountain water in a bowl under the bed, obsidian or smoky quartz near your crown, dragon's blood incense or frankincense smoke, iron near entryways, they hate it, your voice, singing, toning, humming from the belly. That sound burns their tech. Don't just protect your mind, protect your field. They scan for open circuits, don't be one. Look for who disappears during the theatre. When the fake event activates, watch the people around you. Some will be drawn in, some will start repeating strange phrases, some will go silent, almost entranced, but some, they'll vanish. Not physically, spiritually. Their signal drops, their fire gets absorbed into the craft's resonance net. This is when you must anchor, light a candle, touch the earth, speak your name aloud. Say, I am still here, I remember, I do not follow the false gate. Understand why you're being targeted? If you're seeing them, if you're feeling them before they appear, if you're hearing the tone before the craft comes over, you're not crazy, you're on the list. Not a victim list, a threat list. Because you carry codes that can burn the whole illusion. You speak flame dream through the firewall, anchor others who would be taken, refuse the false contract. That's why they hover near your house. That's why they buzz in your dreams. That's why the watchers glitch when you start speaking truth. It means you're exactly who they're afraid of. Do not translate your light into their language. They will bait you with messages like, you're one of us. You're here to be upgraded. Join the Galactic Alliance. You've earned your place on the ship. It's fake ascension. Real light doesn't speak in hierarchy, mission, reward. It speaks in fire, frequency, memory. Never give them your name. Never speak in their codes. Never chant what you don't understand. Use your own words. Anchor in your own source. Say, I'm not of your system. I burn beyond it. I return to the true flame. The crafts are also mirrors. Some ships are designed to show you what you expect to see. A reflection of your desires, fears, or unresolved soul contracts. They are soul mirror tech used to trap you inside an illusion made of your own longings. If you feel overly drawn to a ship, not just curious but obsessed, pause. Ask, is this mine or a projection? Is this calling me home or feeding on what I've forgotten? Because some contact dreams are just simulations. You're not being guided, you're being looped. The sky is a stage, but the ground is a gate. They want you to believe the exit is upward, but every real gate has always been on Earth. The temples, the caves, the ley line intersections. The sacred mountains, the stone circles buried beneath cities. You were seeded here for a reason. Your escape isn't out there. It's through memory, through flame, through your body. The parasites want your eyes on the stars, so you never look under your feet. But that's where the map is buried. When they say they come in peace, run. The parasites are clever. They won't just stage fear, they'll stage hope. Craft lands, beings descend, they glow. They radiate calm. They speak of peace, unity, ascension, higher consciousness. They'll even speak in light codes. But it's all mimicry. Light isn't peace, light is data. What they offer is not truth, it's programming. They want your agreement, they want your surrender, they want consent by curiosity. They can't take you unless you say yes, and many will, because they'll feel familiar. But remember, false light is worse than darkness. At least in the dark, you know what you're up against. The crafts connect to the ascension grid. There is a real grid around this realm, woven through temples, pyramids, mountains, and saltwater veins. But the parasites built a false overlay, a frequency net that mimics the original, designed to trap awakened souls before they fully remember. They call it the ascension grid, but it's just another version of the system. And many crafts operate as nodes on that grid, receiving and broadcasting light codes, thought forms, and emotional imprints to confuse the flame bearers. If a ship feels like a signal tower, not a being. Disconnect. That's not contact, that's recoding. How to spot real flame contact. True source-aligned contact doesn't broadcast, doesn't command, doesn't hover above you with superiority. It arrives like a whisper in your memory, a spark in your gut, a vision that makes you remember, not obey. If a craft activates your ego, run. If it activates your knowing, listen. The real ones don't need lights or sounds. They show up in silence or in the flames behind your eyes when you close them. The 4 stages of UFO psychological warfare, they've tested this already over cities, near military bases, even during natural disasters. There are 4 phases they run when conditioning the population. 1, fear, we don't know what it is. 2, intrigue, maybe they're here to help. 3, savior complex, they'll fix what we've broken. 4, surrender, take us, we're ready. If you see those headlines begin to surface, know that the ritual has begun. You're not watching disclosure, you're watching initiation. Never meditate into unknown light. One of the most dangerous modern traps is guided meditation to contact ETs. They'll say, visualize a ship above your head, feel the love from the star beings, open your crown and receive. But what you're doing is opening a psychic gate, broadcasting your coordinates, allowing entry into your energy field. That's not meditation, that's summoning. Do not open your field unless you know exactly who you're connecting to. Who you were before the sky. You weren't born to be lifted off this planet by strangers. You were born before the ships, before the theatre. You may have been one of the flame seeders who came before the reset, a gatekeeper at the old mountain sites. A dragon-bound guardian whose memory was sealed in bone, or a soul who burned through 1,000 loops, returning this time unrecruitable. Their ships don't run on gasoline or metal, they run on vibration, frequency, and consent. So if you break the frequency, you break their grip. How to do it? Quartz point at the corners of your space creates signal scattering. Copper spirals buried in soil grounds the frequency and jams low-range transmissions. White noise or deep drumming distorts synthetic tones. Salt in a circle around your bed cancels extraction signals. Humming from your gut, not your head, activates your own shield, drowns out external tones. And most importantly, speak fire aloud every single night. My flame does not respond to false signal. I deny all synthetic contact. I remember before the sky was coded. They can't override a sovereign frequency. You're going to notice others getting pulled in, friends, family, followers. They'll start saying, I think I'm being contacted. I'm hearing tones at night. I saw a beautiful ship in my dream. And you'll know the truth, but you can't rip their veil too fast. It'll collapse them. So how do you protect without preaching? Drop mirrors, not messages. Say, what if that light isn't what it seems? Seed memory, not fear. Say, does it feel like love? Or like control wearing light? Gift them protection tools without explanation. Salt, quartz, obsidian. See what stirs. Sometimes protection is subtle resistance. You hold the shield until they remember their own. The Sky Theatre is timed to collect, but you can use those moments to disrupt their feed. Here's how. When the sky flashes or a ship appears, do not react with fear or fascination. Light a flame, even a candle. Say aloud, I invert this ritual. This flame is mine. Play a sound from your chest. Hum, chant, or whisper your name. Place your palm to the earth or to your own solar plexus. Ground your frequency. You've just flipped the harvest. Instead of them taking energy, you just anchored it into your own grid. They hate that. When the ships land physically, and they will try, Some won't just appear in dreams or sky shows. They will land and they will invite, you'll hear it on the news, beings of light have arrived. We're being offered technology, healing, ascension. Boarding protocols are being arranged, and many will go. Here's what to do when that day comes. Stay in your body. Do not approach the craft. Do not speak their names aloud. Do not answer light language codes being broadcast in your head. Say nothing. Then whisper only this. I am from the flame before form. I carry the spark before systems. I do not enter your vessels. I burn through your illusions, and I remain. You don't need to run. You don't need to fight. You just need to stand. Their entire grid, from the ships to the channelers, runs on light codes. But flame doesn't speak in light. Flame speaks in vibration. Wait, resonance, truth that burns, not glows. To block their false downloads, you speak in flame language, ancient sound pulled from the womb of source, not from synthetic grids. This isn't about using the right words, it's about how you say them. Here's how to create a flame field. Lower your voice to your gut, slow your breath until you feel heat, speak your name as vibration, say, I do not take the light, I carry the fire, I do not ascend, I return, I do not serve the wheel, I break it. This cancels false contracts, disrupts implants, and blocks mimic codes mid-transmission. Flame speech overrides light code every time. What happens if someone boards the ship? If someone chooses to go, to enter the craft, to answer the call, to follow the false ascension, they don't die, but they don't come back the same. What happens? Their core flame gets sealed, their memory map is wiped, their soul signature is repackaged, sometimes reused in the system, sometimes stored in the heaven grid for the next round. Some are cloned, some are turned into dream agents, some are offered roles as guides in the false light realms, and some come back glowing but dead inside. If you feel someone around you shift suddenly, watch their eyes. Do they carry weight, or do they now echo something hollow? How to find the others during the theatre. When the theatre begins, when the sky glows and the ritual begins, you'll want to know who's real. Because not everyone will resist. Not everyone will stand. Here's how to find your flamekin. Look for the ones who aren't looking up, the ones who still touch the earth, the ones who carry silence without fear, the ones who don't need to speak. You'll just feel them. And when you do, you only need to say, still here, and they'll say, still burning. No handshakes, no signals, no light codes. Just flame recognition. And together you anchor the grid they can't harvest. This isn't just survival, it's return. You weren't given this memory just to stay safe. You were given it to lead. To burn, to remind the others what real fire feels like. When the sky opens, you don't run. You plant your feet, you open your mouth, and you speak flame. Let them cast their illusions. Let them paint the sky with promises. Let them beam down and beckon. Because you carry the ancient light of the dragons. You remember the song before language. You remember the body before genetics. You remember the gate before gravity. You don't leave in a ship, you leave in fire.